two items of business regarding the atonement of Jesus Christ I'm going to talk about in this video. Here's the first one. Luke chapter 22 verses 42 through 44 says, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. And being in an agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. And then in Mosiah chapter 3, verse 7, it says, And lo, he shall suffer temptations and pain of body, hunger, thirst, and fatigue, even more than man can suffer, except to be unto death. For behold, blood cometh from every pore, so great shall be his anguish for the wickedness and the abominations of his people.
Of his people. This is supposed to be a prophecy about Jesus and the suffering in the Garden of Gethsemane. If you read about the Garden of Gethsemane in the Bible, you do find that it says that Jesus sweat, as it were, great drops of blood. There's scholars who believe that Jesus was maybe at a point of so much stress, realizing what he was about to endure on the cross, that he may have actually been sweating real normal sweat, and he may have actually had some blood mingled into this sweat. In either case, the Bible does not record that he was bleeding from every pore for certain. It indicates that he sweat, as it were, great drops of blood. You find that in Luke chapter 22, verse 44, quote, And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was, as it were, great drops of blood falling down to the ground, end quote. So once again, in the Bible, there's nothing that indicates that Jesus was bleeding from every pore in the Garden of Gethsemane.
As we can see here, the first item of business is the Book of Mormon telling us that Jesus bled from every pore, but this ex-LDS person is claiming that this is unbiblical. This item of business has two things that I need to point out. The vast majority of scholars are saying the same thing that 1 Corinthians 1 verse 18 said about Luke chapter 22 verses 42 through 44. However, there are other scholars who are saying that Jesus was sweating literal drops of blood. It's a rare medical condition called haimatidrosis, which is caused by being extremely stressed, which causes so much mental stress that for mortals like you and me, it's unbearable. So even though this ex-LDS person stance is far more popular, from a scholarly perspective, the Book of Mormon stance is just as valid. There are links to sources in the video description. Second thing, it is a scientific fact that sweat comes out of our pores. So for Jesus to be bleeding from every pore as recorded in the Book of Mormon is the same thing as him to be sweating great drops of blood as recorded in the Bible. Second item of business.
Differences. Why no crosses? Well, the Mormons say that the atonement happened in the garden, and so the atonement didn't happen on the cross. The only thing that happened on the cross for Mormons is the death of Jesus. And so they say if your brother died by a gun, would you wear a gun around your neck? It just doesn't make sense to them. I tell you, though, when I started to read the New Testament and learn about the cross and the blood, those are both foreign concepts to Mormonism.
Her statement about Mormonism teaching that Christ suffered for our sins in the Garden of Gethsemane is found in the Book of Mormon, such as Mosiah chapter 3 verse 7, which I already showed you guys, and there's another passage about it in Alma chapter 7 verses 11 through 12. But let's take a look at this Book of Mormon passage. 1 Nephi chapter 11 verse 33, And I, Nephi, saw that he was lifted up upon the cross and slain for the sins of the world. Right here in the Book of Mormon we see a passage that Jesus Christ paid the price for our sins by dying on the cross. Foreign concept to Latter-day Saints, my butt. In fact, in 3 Nephi, when Jesus Christ visits the Nephites in the Americas, he says this in 3 Nephi chapter 11, verse 14. Arise and come forth unto me, that ye may thrust your hands to my side, and also that ye may feel the prints of the nails in my hands and in my feet, and ye may know that I am the God of Israel and the God of the whole earth, and have been slain for the sins of the world. Right there, the Book of Mormon has a passage where Jesus Christ is telling the Nephites with his own mouth that he was slain for the world's sins, and we all know that Jesus was slain on the cross. These ex-LDS who claim that the Book of Mormon contradicts the Bible regarding Christ's atonement are seriously misrepresenting what the Book of Mormon teaches. You can check out the rest of what I have for my series, The Book of Mormon Does Not Contradict the Bible, by clicking here. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel, Fruit-Bearing Nation Productions, for more examples on how the anti-LDS and ex-LDS are wrong about the Book of Mormon contradicting the